I think we're good finally. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is staying healthy and, uh, welcome back to another Downtown Rams live stream. Been trying to do this for a while, and just my camera is great as it just has not been working the way I've wanted it to. So that's unfortunate, but nothing you can really do. Sometimes technology gets in the way. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about since I haven't been on here in a while. Um, for those of you that are tuning in, welcome back. I know a lot of you, tuned in. It was a few weeks ago. When I tried to talk about, the fact that we weren't going to have preseason, no NFL preseason. The fact that there was likely not going to be anybody in the stands. Pretty much all of that. Definitely interesting dynamic going on with the MLB right now with COVID-19. You could see that trickle down into other sports. But we do have some news today, and I think it's definitely huge. Being a Rams fan, being, covering the Rams and all, I think it's huge. So we've seen opt-outs. We've seen them, throughout the week and last week. And I'll just say this before I say anything else on opt-outs. I firmly believe that in this situation, when you have something unprecedented like this, you have every right to do what you have to do to keep your family and yourself safe. So I totally understand it. But today was the first Rams opt-out, and that came in the form of, and now I forget his name. Awesome. Just totally. Chandler Brewer, right off the top of my head. But yeah, Chandler Brewer, who's actually faced non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, he is basically flagged at risk. So there was no way that it made sense for him to play this year, in the NFL when he could contract this virus, and that virus can do some damage. So he is out. He is going to wait until 2021, and I can't blame him. I think when you're dealing with something like that, especially everything he's battled through, this is the last thing you need. So good for him. Good for Louvernay Tardif from the Kansas City Chiefs. Good for everyone that's opted out. I think the decision needs to be more, it's a family, it's a personal decision, it's a health decision, rather than getting on these guys because they make a lot of money and it's ridiculous that they can't play. Personally, that's how I feel. Some look at it a different way. Some will look and be like, well, they're kind of quitting on their team. I disagree with that. Because I just think when you have something unprecedented like this, you can't give me the whole, it's a team game type of thing. One thing I'll say, I thought was really, big of the Virginia Tech player to opt out, and I think he's going to end up being a trailblazer with this whole decision, because right now, in my opinion, everybody has a right to opt out of any sport if they don't feel comfortable playing it with the coronavirus going around, but nobody, I feel like, is more justified than student athletes of the NCAA. While the NCAA is making money, the student athlete is not. So this is not your profession. This is something that you're doing to get to your profession. And furthermore, this could honestly help you by opting out, being able to train an entire year for the NFL draft or the NBA draft or what have you. I just think that's, it's the right thing to do if you don't feel safe. I totally agree with it. I can't stress that enough. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. So, in addition, going to now just talk about the Rams a bit. In addition to Chandler Brewer, which is really unfortunate on the offensive line, the Rams added Michael Haucht, the defensive lineman, the UDFA defensive lineman, and Terrell Lewis, the edge defender that the Rams drafted in the third round, to the reserved COVID-19 list. So that is something to keep an eye on. It doesn't mean that they're out for the year, but it definitely means that they're reserved for some reason, or it could be the fact that they tested positive. As we know, Andrew Whitworth and Brian Allen are the most notable guys to this point that had tested positive for COVID. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. I'll say this right now. I'm not really sure how confident I can be right now in having an NFL season. I hope there's an NFL season. Right now, the NBA is back in session. The NHL is back in session. But I think it's a lot easier, and I can't stress this enough, it's a lot easier for a league that is already playing and then had to stop because of this to go back to playing and finish their season than a league is that is not playing to have to go and completely restart or start a completely new season. The MLB falls in that category. They did not start their season before they shut down, and neither did the NFL, of course. So, I don't think it's a given. And I have to say, I think the Marlins, the things that are going on with the MLB right now, that could definitely have some trickle-down effects. But I do want to talk football. I do want to answer questions. For whatever reason, my chat thing on Restream is down, so I'm going to have to go on each individual platform and see if anybody's asking anything. And maybe you guys aren't. Maybe it's not down. Maybe you guys are just quiet today. There's definitely a possibility there. I'm not saying that there's not. But normally you guys would pop up, and right now it's not doing that. So, yeah, so it's really interesting, though, with the NFL moving to an 80-player roster temporarily. I don't really see the point of why you cut anybody, to be quite honest. But, that's just my opinion. I didn't really understand that. Don't know why they had to cut anybody. To me, it's just more jobs, and I don't really understand if you're already keeping 80, what was 90 at the end of the day? You're not going to have a preseason, so a lot of these guys that got cut, it's going to be interesting, because some of these guys that got cut are going to end up being something someday, and they got cut because they didn't get a fair shake and they weren't able to actually, work towards something, work towards making a roster or, anything like that. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. It's definitely interesting, in my opinion. I think the 7-team playoffs, that is definitely something that intrigues me. The 7 teams in each conference, you can't forget about that. But furthermore, I think just looking at the Rams and the fact that they have so many, so much turnover, right? Because they really do. They have a new OC. They have a new defensive coordinator. They have a new special teams coordinator. They have a new running back. They got rid of Brandon Cooks. They got rid of Todd Gurley. The offensive line is pretty much intact, but it's going to be difficult, I guess, when you have all those youngsters still. They got rid of Corey Littleton, or they didn't bring him back. So the linebacker room is right now. You're looking at the 2 most experienced players in the NFL. Starting wise, you're looking at Troy Reeder, who is a UDFA out of Delaware, transferred from Penn State. And a lot of people like to blame him, for some of the missed tackles last year. And then Kenny Young, a guy that was a throw-in for the Marcus Peters deal. Those are the 2 most experienced linebackers on the Rams roster. Micah Kiser missed all last year and only played special teams when he was in the year prior. So it's definitely, a very inexperienced linebacker group, to say the least. And you don't have preseason and limited offseason. It's definitely hard to make that adjustment. So assuming there's football, which it's not good to assume, but just for the sake of, talking about football, this is a team that's definitely going to be affected. Now, here's my thing. The way Sean McVay has won games over the years that he necessarily didn't, not that he didn't deserve, but maybe they weren't the most give me type of games, right? His track record is pretty good since coming over to the Rams. And those games, there's going to be those games where they're like growing pain games, I would call them, where the Rams should beat an opponent that they're probably better than, but they struggle to finish off the game or what have you. Could totally see that happening because of the lack of continuity, the lack of establishing, a defense and establishing the special teams unit. Let's not forget, Coach Bones is the best special teams coach in the league. And the Rams let him go for, they just kind of let him go. He's now with the Dallas Cowboys. So, Bonamega, he's going to have to really step up. He's been fired from, I believe, 6 different coaching jobs. So, we'll see how that goes. Brandon Staley's an interesting one to me because, he could be like a young Sean McVay of the defense type of guy, or he could absolutely bust. But it is, promising that he came from a Vic Fangio type of defense that terrorized the Rams in 2018. He moves over to the Broncos, and Vic Fangio took him with him. So it's definitely interesting. You grab a linebacker coach, you make him a defensive coordinator. He's a rookie defensive coordinator, and you dump maybe the greatest defensive coordinator of all time in Wade Phillips for him. Definitely interesting there. How's it going, S. Ruiz? I see SD Ruiz. I see you now. All right, I see some people come. I'm getting YouTube and Twitch. I'm surprised my Facebook and Twitter people aren't commenting. Normally they're louder. FWXER Jake, hi. How's it going, man? Adrian, there we are. I think football should be canceled. It's weird with no fans. Where the players' emotion come from. A terrible time we live in and shake my head. Hey, I agree with you. It is weird with no fans. I still am optimistic that it can be done without fans. The basketball games I've watched so far, I feel like they've done a nice job, at least with the camera angle. And keep in mind, that's all that really matters when it comes down to it. You're not there. You're watching on TV. I feel like the camera angle does a good job of capturing the game and getting the emotion, like kind of focusing a little bit more on the bench. So, that camera angle does help. And I think you can make it work. It'll be interesting with football. But then again, football, you just don't show those wide angle type of scenes. You don't show the crowd on third down because there is none. It's things. It'll be more like the Arena Football League, honestly. Like if you've ever watched televised Arena Football League, they don't really show the crowd. They just show the game the entire time. It's basically like Madden, if without the cutscenes. So I don't know. I think it'll work, but it's a matter of will it actually happen, and that I'm on the fence on. I haven't decided. I don't think there's going to be football, but I'm not going to say 100% that that's how I believe. I just think that there's probably not going to be football, but I can hope, FWXER, thoughts on Lewis being put on IR, thoughts on Cup, rank, top 100 players. Okay. First, Lewis being put on IR is damning in a sense because I feel like he's a starting caliber edge defender that can come in. He's got the length that Brandon Staley likes off the edge or wants off the edge. A guy that's going to bat down passes, a guy that's going to use his overall bend to get around the edge and make a play. He's explosive. He's a great athlete, but he's had some issues staying healthy in college. And now, obviously I'm not going to throw COVID with a torn ACL or anything like that, but it's just a bummer that, he could likely end up starting the season on IR. I'm not saying he will. The COVID list is the COVID list. It's not, the end of the year or anything like that. He just has to test positive, I believe, something along those lines. But it's definitely upsetting when you draft a rookie in the 3rd round and there's a chance he might not be ready for the regular season because of an unprecedented virus. That's definitely not your everyday type of thing. As far as Cooper Kupp, rank on the top 100 players list. I think Cooper Kupp is extremely fun. He's gotten a lot better as a explosive receiver. I feel like he's gotten faster, which is bizarre, coming off a torn ACL. Um, my thing with Cooper Kupp, though, is he was on that list and Robert Woods was not. And I will say to this day, I really believe Robert Woods is 100% the better receiver. I don't think it's like a country mile, but I do think Robert Woods has an argument to be in the top 10 list of receivers in this league. He does everything extremely well. And keep in mind, he's been on a roster that housed Todd Gurley, that housed Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins, Cooper Kupp. Now Tyler Higbee, is coming on strong. So, I mean, his numbers, if you put him and say, he was the guy for a team, his numbers of, around 1,200, 1,300 yards could be 1,600, 1,700. It could be a lot like Michael Thomas. I mean, he is a great route runner. He's a great blocker. He's a guy that plays until the whistle is blown. I just don't think he gets enough credit, and this list really showed that to me. He was the better receiver in Buffalo, even when Buffalo spent a fourth overall pick on Sammy Watkins. And I said that. I mean, they were the number one running offense, so they didn't really pass much. But of course, they had a fourth overall pick, so they were going to throw it to Sammy as much as they could. But I think Robert Woods, I'd go as far as saying maybe the most underrated player in football. I mean, he gets no credit, besides Rams fans, of course. But on the national scene, he doesn't get much credit now. So I wasn't shocked. Kupp is deserving of a top 100. Is he a top 10 receiver? No. I feel like Robert Woods is, or, at least 10. Kupp is definitely up there, though, and he's not far off. And I think if he has another year like he did last year, which I think would be a lot better than last year, just because he continues to, like I said, he was more explosive last year. You could definitely see something there where maybe he could shoot in the top 10. It's going to be hard to not sign him. So I think the Rams do end up picking him over John Johnson, signing him. CJ asks, Ogbo's potential. So Obinna Okoronkwo is a fun one for me. He was the guy I had as a second round talent, and apparently I was wrong because he went in the fifth round. But I love Okoronkwo. He had a foot injury his first year, let's not forget. But he was on that Super Bowl roster, didn't get really much of a chance to play as he was taken off IR at the end of the year. But he's somebody that is very intriguing to me. He fell a little bit in the draft because of his 40 time, but 40 time doesn't really matter when you're a pass rusher. You're going off the edge. So I really like Okoronkwo. I like the fact he's got a really nice spin move. He's got a nice counter move. He's somebody that in limited time he showed out. But it's limited time. He hasn't played every down. He still has that foot ailment that I worry about. Having foot issues, as an edge defender, that's not the best case. You definitely want to monitor that. However, when you're looking at that rotation, and I think you have to feel good about the rotation, with him, with Terrell Lewis, with Ebukam. They grabbed Floyd, who I'm not the biggest fan of Leonard Floyd, but more so because I believe they spent that money when they could have used that money to get Corey Littleton back. But, I like that rotation. Ja'Kai Polite is definitely someone you can't sleep on. I think he's going to be really good if they give him an opportunity. And you're welcome for the answers, by the way. Happy to oblige. But Ben Sanchez, this sucks that Terrell Lewis isn't playing. Yeah, Ben, it's really unfortunate. I don't know when he'll be back. I'm not saying he's done for the year, but it's just you hate to see it. It's the same thing with Okoronkwo. He was looking so good in rookie camp or, anything that they were saying. And then he gets the foot issue, and then that ends up costing him the season pretty much. So hope it's nothing like that. Yes, David Woods definitely got snubbed. 100% agree. I'm going to be doing a DTR top 100. I do one every year. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to do one this year, but I'm going to get to that, as well as a fun article I put together, all 32 teams, if you guys are interested, all 32 teams, what a Mount Rushmore would look like for every franchise. I'm working on that article as is. Yes. FW, yes, Corey Littleton. I was I was irate when I found out that they didn't bring him back or they didn't plan to. I don't know how you don't. He's their third best player on the defense, and it's only because Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are there, the best player in the league and the best cornerback in the league. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to be 1 and 2 when you're going up against those guys. But I mean, Littleton might be one on multiple teams in this league. I think he's a top 5 linebacker. I really do. And I think the Raiders getting him and Nick Kwiatkowski, that was definitely alarming, and it was a very good pickup for both of those guys. I don't think they paid much at all. In my opinion, Littleton was worth more than whatever he got, 10, 11, 12, around that range. Definitely felt like he was way more than that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know why they let him go. I know they are really confident in Micah Kaiser. I do know that. But I think, I mean, if you're looking at this roster, what do you most worry about? You most worry about the linebackers, right? I mean, I'm not the only one who's like, wow, this roster looks kind of fun, except what's going on with linebacker? I know a lot of people say offensive line, but I have more confidence in the offensive line than most people do. So, yeah, oof is right. Uh, that's a really good point. Oof. Yep, that's exactly how I would have said. Yeah, exactly, David. Could have used the money for Littleton. Yeah, so we've talked a bit. If you guys have heard the Downtown Rams podcast, the last episode, we had Kurt Warner on. If you guys missed that, I'll drop a link as I continue to lose my voice for some apparent reason. But it's been fun. I mean, we've had some great guests on. Obviously, we get on a lot of guests, during the draft and what have you. But we haven't really done a ton of podcasts lately because there hasn't been a ton of news, all at once. It's been like kind of bits and pieces. And, we like to do like kind of a wrap-up type of show. We don't do them every day. But here is the Kurt Warner podcast because I do want anybody that hasn't already listened to this to give this a shot. I think it's some of our best work. If you're interested, there is the link. Want to see if Coach Cromer works some magic. Are you excited about Hard Knocks? I gotta read these in order. I'm so bad at that. So we'll start off. FW, are you excited about Hard Knocks? Yes. And no. So the reason it's a yes and a no is because, one, it's part of the Rams, so I can't wait to watch how the Rams operate things with Sean McVay since we watched how they operate with Jeff Fisher. No, because, I mean, I'm going to get so mad, and I know I'm not the only one. I'm going to get so mad when they switch over to the Chargers. Like, I don't actually care about the Chargers. I mean, I like Austin Eckler, and that's really it. So, I mean, that's why it's a yes and no for me. I think it's cool that the Rams are going to be on it. I'm kind of annoyed it's split. It's just going to be hard going from the Rams scene to the Chargers when it's like the Rams run LA, And even if you can say the Rams don't, it'd be the Raiders, not the Chargers. So, the Chargers are so unpopular. I guess they were trying to hope that maybe being on this show might help them. It might with people that aren't in LA and they like Hard Knocks, what have you. But I don't know, man. I'm excited for the Rams, not excited for the Chargers. I stand by that. Let's see. Want to see if Coach Cromer works some magic. Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Cromer can work magic. I think he's one of the better offensive line coaches in the league. It'll be interesting to see who replaces Dante Scarnecchia as the best offensive line coach in the league. Cromer's definitely a candidate. When you look at what he did in short work, keep in mind, he came in 2017 with Sean McVay's coaching staff. And by 2018, the Rams had the best offensive line in the league. And if you're, debating that, well, they won the Bill Ford Tough Offensive Line of the Year award, so I'll say that they did. Let's see here. Gonna miss seeing the rookies and UDFAs getting quality time in preseason games. I completely agree with you, CJ. Completely. I think it's really important for these guys. I'm a big fan of the underdog, and I know a lot of people know that. Um, I like the UDFA guys. I was the one from the get go that was saying, "Watch out, Corey Littleton's going to make this roster." Back in what was it, 2016? So, I like the UDFA's, but let's be real here. If what is happening right now happened in 2016, Corey Littleton, who was named the Rams Rookie of the Year that year, would not have made the roster. He wouldn't have. Because of graduation rules with Pac 12 or something along those lines, he was unable to attend OTAs. And so, because he was unable to attend OTAs, he had to literally make the team by showing out in preseason, which he did. And today, no preseason. That's why I hate it for these guys. It really sucks being the class of 2020. I gotta tell you, it really does. You can think of it as, well, these guys will have another opportunity. Some won't. You might get unfairly cut. I mean, think about this. Guys that are getting cut right now, UDFAs that are getting cut right now, and I've seen a few. They have no, literally the team is cutting them probably based on how they sounded on Zoom. How else are you going to figure out how to cut down a roster, a 90-man roster to 80 players? I mean, you have to pick 10. So, it could be something very small. That's the thing that really sucks. There's going to be 15 guys in the practice squad. I do want to point that out. I don't know if I mentioned that. So that'll be interesting. But, I hate that there's no preseason. And just, interviewing some of the guys that we did, I was really excited to see Bryce Perkins, a guy that's been on our show twice, see if he was able to, make this roster. And I think he could have. He would have been fun to watch in preseason. Xavier Jones, SMU running back. I think they still will make the roster. I think they'll make the 80. But, these are guys that, I think would have had, fun to watch preseason, production. So I'm bummed for them. I'm bummed for guys like that, especially the guy that came out of the D2 school where he had to fly out to go to, say, Philly just to go to a pro day. And, the pro day ended up being virtual. It gets canceled, it's virtual, and then that's all on the D2 guy. That happens, but it doesn't happen the way it did because of COVID. This was so unprecedented, and so I feel for the 2020 class. I'm going to go back because a lot of you guys were starting to file in here and type away, and I was going on my why 2020 is unfair rant. 2020 class is unfair. You should do a podcast with Jordan Rodriguez. Yes, FW. I'm a fan of Jordan Rodriguez just from looking back at her time with the Carolina Panthers, the way she handled some of the things out there, and I thought she was just a model professional. I love her work, and she's been doing a great job with the Rams. I've been in contact with Jordan, kind of welcomed her to, the Rams media outlet or what have you, and she's just really nice, and look forward to having her on a show sometime for sure. Any downsides if they do cancel this season? David, the downsides are going to be there's no football. That's really the only downside. If they cancel the season, everybody's back in the same playing field. So, unless 2021, we don't get any better. I don't expect that. Just looking at other countries right now, the United States will be fine in 2021. Maybe later on, maybe not immediately. Let's say this. When I move out to LA, which will be the quarter of 2021, early quarter, March, that March to June zone, I think things will be back to normal, or the closest it can be to normal. The downside is that you don't have football. As far as the contracts, they would just basically push everyone over to the next year if they had to cancel it. It wouldn't be a huge deal. The poor Chargers need some PR love. FW, I gotta say, I don't feel bad for the Chargers. If they came out, if they acted like, say, the Bills, right? So the Bills share, the New York fans with the Jets and the Giants, but Bills don't. Honestly, all three of them, none of them do competitive marketing. I mean, if you really think about it, none of them do competitive marketing, but like when the Chargers said battle for LA, I think it just pissed off Rams fans that are like, all right, it's annoying, but like I don't mind the Chargers. And now, LA fans hate the Chargers because they kind of came in and were like, battle for LA, we own this place and trying to make it like their home. And it's like, wait a minute, So I think that's why. Yeah, the Chargers are like the Clippers to me, except I think the Clippers are more annoying. They're more combative, and they're nowhere near as good as the Lakers, franchise-wise. I mean, obviously their team's not bad now, but yeah, I kind of liken them to the Clippers. A bunch of annoying Niner fans in LA, too, Chris says. I guess I'll find that out. I mean, I have not seen a Niners-Rams game yet. I'm sure that will change very soon, as in the next 2 years. But yeah, I've not seen any Niner fans in LA, so I guess we'll see on that. Vinny, no, I have not beat up the nerd who hacked DTR yet. Oh, by the way, yes, we got hacked. If you guys were trying to access downtownrams.com, yes, we were hacked. No, we are not down anymore. Got us back up, so we're good to go. We have some stuff out over there. That Blaine Greasack, that Holden Cantor, and that yours truly have written over there. So if you want to check that out, you can. But yeah, let's see here. Chris says, I feel like the Skarnecki loss is being overlooked in New England. Chris, I firmly agree with you. I think Dante Skarnecki, what he was able to do, I mean, he turned Marcus Cannon into a stud. Now Marcus Cannon is sitting out for the year, but he turned Marcus Cannon into a stud. Shaq Mason. I liked Skarnecki as a football fan. I don't love the New England Patriots, though, so he was kind of a thorn in my side as well, and gave Tom Brady a pretty good pocket because he developed those offensive linemen so well. And of course, the loss of David Andrews, like early last year. I think he had a blood clot or something along those lines, and the other guy whose name escapes me, he came in and he held it down, and that was Skarnecki is doing. I mean, he really did a nice job of developing those guys. So it's Ted something. I can't remember the name. I'm so good at remembering these names normally, but can't remember his name to save my life. Let's see. FW says Jake's specialty is scouting UDFAs. I wouldn't say specialty. I think it's one of the things I can do, but I don't know. I appreciate that, though. Star-Lord, is that you as Guardians of the Galaxy? Kev's so funny. Are you saying I look like Star-Lord? That's an interesting... I've never been told that before, but interesting. Every team is going to be so rusty without playing preseason games. That is true, Ben. That is true. But my only thing, though, is that the Rams could fall behind because all the other teams are basically running the same offenses and defenses as last year. Not all of them, but majority. And then you have teams like the Rams that are installing new defenses and have a new special teams coordinator and got rid of their star running. There's some things there where you're like, I could definitely see some growing pains. There will be them, no doubt. We won't see Wolford getting any more action, says CJ. That is annoying to me. I love watching Wolford play, even going back to his time in the AAF, but even further, when he was at Wake Forest throwing to guys like Alex Bachman and recently released wide receiver, waived wide receiver for the Rams, Greg Dortch. So, that was a bummer. I do like Dortch. We'll see if he's on the practice squad. But yeah, I've been a fan of Wolford, the way he moves. He gets out of the pocket and he's able to make plays with his feet. He's able to extend the play, and his improvisational skills are obviously there. So Sign me up for guys that can do that. Let's see. First Rams bandwagon fan. How much or little do you think we'll use 11 personnel without Brandon Cooks? I think we'll use it a decent amount. I mean, like the thing is, I think you'll see a kind of a mixture. You'll see 3 wide receiver sets. You'll see 2 tight end sets. I don't think you'll see many 3 tight end sets, but I could be wrong. I mean, you're probably going to see a lot of Josh Reynolds, I would imagine. I think that they're kind of using this year, and the way there hasn't been a true preparation for these rookies, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Van Jefferson's kind of pushed to next year. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Van Jefferson right now, as it stands, is a better receiver than Josh Reynolds. Sue me. But I do. I believe that. I watched him at the Senior Bowl. I watched his ability. First off, he was the fastest timed player at the Senior Bowl, 1. 2, he went up and made some serious grabs that, I didn't think he could make. I mean, I felt like he was more of a guy in between the numbers. You throw it to him, he gets you that first down. And then, all of a sudden, he was going up and just grabbing the ball, high pointing the ball, the 50-50 ball. I don't know. He's got a lot of versatility. I think he's very similar to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. I definitely find him very intriguing. I loved the pick when they made it. So, I mean, I think he's better than Reynolds, but I think the Rams will probably play Reynolds more, if that makes sense. But I do think that, they'll use a guy like Tyler Higbee a ton. They'll use a guy like, of course, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods a ton. The running backs are what interests me because you have 3 potential starters in this league. I mean, Malcolm Brown is extremely underrated. The guy can play. Cam Akers is maybe the best running back in this draft. He can play. Darrell Henderson was my number 1 running back in the previous draft. He can play. So they might have 3 starting caliber guys there. We'll see how they mix that up. Should be interesting for sure. Kev's so fun. I thought he looks like Chris Pratt. Hope that's no offense. I'll take it. If you think I look like Chris Pratt, man, I'll take it. I like Chris Pratt, okay? I'm not quite the Andy Dwyer looking Chris Pratt though. I think you're right. I'm more closer to Star-Lord maybe. I don't know. That is a new one though. I've never heard that before, so that's a new one for sure. FW, we should get better by 2021 with a health perspective, but it will be very changed world and country. Definitely agree with you there. It might be a good thing though. As this fly just goes across my screen, might be a good thing though, because when you look at the way everything has gone. I mean, there are people I've heard that, well, I mean, not that I know, but I've heard them say it or like post it on Twitter or Facebook that they just realized that they have to start washing their hands. So I guess this is a good time for us to get those people kind of on board. Like, hey, that's kind of gross. Can you have some sort of cleanliness? So yeah, I do agree with you. Things will change. Hopefully people are, continuous about the way that they behave and are courteous of others. I mean, if you're out in public, I mean, wear a mask. Like, I don't see the issue with doing that. But I'm not going to push any political agendas on this thing. I'm just saying it is a world issue right now, so I guess it's fair to throw that in there. We're talking about COVID and how it affects the league, so I don't think it's entirely a horrible thing to put out there. So Chargers are trying to piggyback the Rams on the Rams' success, says Chris. Totally agree with that. You've been to every game, so you would know. I'm going to take your word for it. You'll love the 49ers-Rams rivalry. It's fun. I'll take your word for it. CJ, at least Ballmer has big money compared to Spanos. Okay. Fantastic. Totally agree. Okay, Spanos, I can't stand the guy because he's the guy that he's the trust fund kid that doesn't want to spend his trust fund money under any circumstances. So he doesn't want to make any moves. He doesn't want to pay anybody. And, wants to nickel and dime people. And then, of course, now he's basically living off of Stan Kroenke. So I like that. I like that you said that. Ballmer annoys me, but at least Ballmer has money. He has bags. He's willing to kind of throw them out there. And they're looking to move to, where are they looking to move? They're what is it? They used to play the fabulous the Forum. I mean, that's gonna be weird because that's where the Lakers played. So I don't know. There's a lot of history there, but I mean, the Lakers play at Staples Center, and I've never been. Hopefully, I'll go at some point since I am moving down there, but we'll see. I gotta say down there, over there. I mean, I'm moving cross country. I'm not like going down. I don't know why I keep saying that. Are the Pats just tanking for Trevor Lawrence right now? It's a great question. I mean, are they? FW. What do you think? All right, like, do you think they're tanking for Trevor Lawrence, guys? I mean, like, to me, I think that it's one of those weird circumstances, and I can't even say this without almost laughing, but it's one of those weird circumstances where you had a bunch of people that just were on the Patriots. I'm having a hard time saying this. We're on the Patriots and opted out. I don't think it was planned. I don't think Bill Belichick has something up his sleeve. Maybe he does, and if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow. But I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's see. 2021 will be the year the Rams pop off. I just got a feeling. I mean, Chris, the way I see it is this team has all the potential in the world to be great and be bad. If you get Jared Goff playing at the level of 2017 and 18, you get the defense playing at a high level, say they're top 10 in the league, top 15, and the running game isn't atrocious, you're a 10-win ball club. If Jared Goff plays like that, the running game is moving on, clicking on all cylinders, and the defense is top 10 or top 5, probably a 13-win ball club. Now, the problem is there is an off chance that Jared Goff doesn't play the way he did in 2017 and 2018, and then you start to worry. But, if he plays any bit like he did early in 2019, the running game struggles, and keep in mind, I'm throwing Goff and the running game kind of in with the offensive line. Like, I'm not leaving the offensive line out. I'm just calling them like a collective unit. And then say the defense is like 20th in the league. I mean, this team could win 5 games. I mean, like, that's kind of how I see it. I mean, I have them at 11-5. I think their third place schedule is favorable for them. And I think they have too much talent to only win 5 games. But, I mean, stranger things have happened, So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to win 11 games or win 5 games or win 14 games or win 2 games. Maybe 2 games is crazy, but you get my point. I think they're the biggest boomer bust team out there. Expanded practice squad rosters. Yeah, CJ, so they expanded it to 15 or 16, I believe. I think it was 16. So that will be interesting. I'm hoping, because keep in mind, they released Jake Jervis. And I don't really know how I felt about that, but I think he's probably just going to be a practice squad candidate. I like the UDFA out of Iowa last year, and I like the fact that he got in and played some games last year. So I don't know if I agree with letting him go. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't agree much with letting him go. So that's that's my thoughts on that. But we'll see if he's back on the practice squad or something. FW, do you think Robert Woods will be replaced by Van Jefferson in the future due to cap space? I don't think Robert Woods should be replaced. I think they're going to try to keep all 3 of Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Van Jefferson together. I think that's probably what you're looking at as the top 3 guys moving forward. But we'll see. Again, stranger things have happened. I don't think you can get rid of Robert Woods due to future cap space because I think he's one of the more affordable wide receivers in the league. He gives you so much bang for your buck. I couldn't get rid of him, and I don't know if the Rams can either, but we'll see. With drafting a tight end, what becomes of Gerald Everett? David asks. Great question. I kind of see Gerald Everett as a trade piece, and I think the Rams, albeit they, probably want to trade him, but there's not a ton of value there because they haven't exactly pumped him up. They haven't exactly let him play a ton, and it doesn't look good when you're pushing him out for a rookie. who was in the 4th round. So the value isn't quite there. We'll see how they use him. If they try to pump up his stock and then maybe trade him to a playoff team, in say another conference, I mean, I might be able to see that. He doesn't have a long-term future at the Rams, though. I don't see it. I do not see it. I like Gerald Everett. I've spoken with Gerald Everett, met him at the Giants game a few years ago. But I do not see a long-term future with him, and it's not really his fault. I do have to say, not entirely his fault. It is somewhat his fault. I think he struggles so much as a blocker. The Rams have kind of felt like they have to rely on other guys. But less about that, more about, in my opinion, the way the Rams have used him. If you know for sure this guy can't block, but he can at least be a big wide receiver, kind of put him in the slot or outside. You saw what he did against the Chiefs. You've seen what he has done over his career when they use him properly. I just don't think they've been consistent enough with Gerald Everett, and for that reason, I mean, his stock is probably too low to even sell. So, we'll see. Forum will stay with a new Clippers arena nearby. Okay, good. I'm glad you cleared that up, CJ. I thought they were going to be at the Forum. I guess they're not going to be at the Forum, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Who do you think starting middle linebackers will be? So I mean, middle linebackers, you're gonna look at Kaiser, and probably that's a really good question. I mean, you're probably gonna look at like a pseudo linebacker role for Taylor Rapp. I'd imagine they want to keep the 3 safeties on the field at all times. So I mean, it's probably gonna be Taylor Rapp. I'll be honest with you. I think it will be. But I think Traven Howard, you get that athleticism. And I like Troy Reader, so I wouldn't mind if he gets an opportunity. But we'll see on that regard. It's a matter. I mean, here's the thing, and I don't know if they thought this through all that well. I mean, like Micah Kaiser's had an injury history. If he gets hurt again, they don't have great depth at middle linebacker or inside backer. So I mean, like, I don't know how that's gonna work. But we'll see on that regard. First Rams bandwagon fan. Other than the running back, which rookie do you think will have the most playing time? Great question. Okay, so the most playing time I think is going to be Cam Akers, just by default. I would have said Terrell Lewis, and it could be honestly Terrell Burgess, but I'll say Cam Akers because I don't see this being... I think they're going to try to keep him on the field, make him the number 1 running back from day one. The thing about Cam Akers is that he just does everything extremely well, but he's built. You look at Malcolm Brown, he's definitely built. He doesn't have the speed that Cam Akers does. And Darrell Henderson, while I love the guy, he doesn't have the build that Cam Akers has to withstand the punishment, withstand the potential fact that maybe the offensive line can't block this year. It's like Cam Akers, who led all of college football in yards after contact. He can make something happen. He's been able to operate, behind the line of scrimmage, getting hit in the backfield and coming back and, making something happen. So I think he's the most NFL ready in that regard, to be like a full-time bell cow. But I don't know how they're going to use him. I just think he'll probably play the most out of all the rookies, seeing as, Terrell Lewis with the COVID, the COVID list placement, and Terrell Burgess is probably going to be it, but I'll say Cam Akers. Great question, though. Let's see here. FW. But if Robert Woods is so good, don't you think he would want to get one last big payday that the Rams can't afford? I agree, he's very underrated. Therefore, I think he's going to leave for one last payday. And if he does, it's totally understandable, reasonable. But I don't know if that's Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods has found a home in LA, and I mean, this goes back to when he was at USC. I just felt like, and albeit I think he was a Chargers fan growing up, but I think he has found a home with the Rams. Feels comfortable. I don't really see him leaving unless the Rams kind of give him the boot. He's a special player to have. He's a franchise type of guy, leader in the locker room type of guy. Fan favorite. And I just don't know how you get rid of somebody like that, personally. Do you think it will go back to the usual with the Pats at the Super Bowl again, or are they done without Brady? Even though it's early, do you reckon it will be the Super Bowl both who you think and who you would want? All right, Kev. So, I wouldn't rule out the Patriots without Tom Brady, and mainly because while he was ranked 14th on the top 100 list, he was a 43-year-old carcass last year as a quarterback. He struggled, and I mean, he didn't make it past the first round of the playoffs with historically one of the best defenses this league has ever seen. Just seeing statistics, I mean, that defense was historically, the numbers show that it was one of the best defenses. I think at one point it was ahead of the 1985 Bears. And they didn't win anything. They didn't even win a playoff game. So, I mean, I don't think Tom Brady's the end-all, be-all. I think Bill Belichick is the end-all, be-all, which is why I don't think Brady is the GOAT. I think Brady is great, but I don't think that you could say anybody is the greatest of all time when there's a debate. There's definitely a debate who the greatest quarterback of all time is. There's definitely a debate, who the greatest NFL player of all time is. There's no debate right now who the greatest head coach is. I mean, everybody says Belichick, and I would agree. I mean, Vince Lombardi would probably be 2, but I mean, you can't really debate Belichick on that. So that's kind of my thing there. Belichick's still there. I was really excited to see Jarrett Stidham. I wrote an article about the Patriots, how you can't sleep on them, don't kick them off the ledge yet. They're not done. This is before they got Cam Newton, which is intriguing to me, but I have some caution because Cam Newton hasn't been a superstar since 2015. And after the Super Bowl, he kind of went downhill. So, we'll see. With Belichick, maybe he turns into a scary element at the quarterback position. But if not, and he gets hurt, which is entirely reasonable because he's had a hard time staying healthy over the last few years. I would say Jarrett Stidham, with the weapons he has and the defense, because I still think the defense is really good. I know they lost some guys in the offseason, but, adding, Joshua Uche and adding Kyle Duggar and, Chase Winovich the year prior, I mean, those guys, plus having the Defensive Player of the Year in Stephon Gilmore, I think that they're in good shape for sure. So, the way I see it, I can still see them making a Super Bowl if, the stars align. Now, can they face the Rams? Yeah, I could see that as well. Who would I want? The Rams and Patriots. That's what I would want. Or the Rams Chiefs. And who do I think? Well, I kind of lean towards the 49ers and the Ravens at the moment, unfortunately. I know people talk like the 49ers won the Super Bowl. It was really interesting to me the way the Rams lost the Super Bowl, and they instantly, all you heard the next year's Super Bowl hangover, they're not going to be the same. And then, of course, they go 9-7. They could have easily been 11-5. Few things didn't go their way, and then you have all these people like, I told you so. Like, no, you took a shot in the dark and you were right, but you took a shot in the dark, you didn't actually know. So the way I see this going is that the 49ers, and nobody is talking about it, but the 49ers could easily have a Super Bowl hangover. They just didn't play Bill Belichick, so no one's talking about it. It's the Bill Belichick narrative and the Patriot narrative. Like when the Eagles played them, you didn't hear anything because the Eagles won. But, talk about going back to, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan plays the Patriots and, he goes downhill. It's like this whole, if the Patriots beat you type of thing, like you just like decline. I mean, just look at the greatest show on turf. They fell off a cliff after that. They weren't the elite team anymore. They weren't the best team anymore. So I mean, it's that narrative, and so if the Rams played anyone else, there wouldn't have been a narrative for Super Bowl hangover. I think that's why when you look, the 49ers aren't having that same pressure. So it's interesting to me, are the 49ers going to be as good? I think they'll probably, like right now, my prediction would be the 49ers. I don't actually think any team in the NFC 100% is making the Super Bowl. I just don't have anybody in mind. I think the NFC is wide open. The AFC has gotten to the point where I think you can say it's either the Ravens or it's the Chiefs, with a dark horse in either the Denver Broncos, or I would definitely throw in a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's be honest here. Pittsburgh was not healthy at all last year, and people forgot about them. They'll be back. They'll be tough. They still have a nasty defense. Ben Roethlisberger will be back. The last season, the full season he played back in 2018, he threw over 5,000 yards. He is not in the grave yet. He's got a lot of football left to be played. So I definitely think that's interesting for sure to think about. So kind of a long answer to your question, but that's kind of how I feel in regards to the Super Bowl. Clippers plan to build a new basketball stadium next to SoFi, create an entertainment district with the Rams. That is annoying. Okay, I didn't know that. That is annoying. I don't like that. God, go away. They annoy me. I can't say that though, because this is Downtown Rams, and if you like the Clippers, you're more than welcome to watch this thing. I just don't let my biases affect you in that regard, since I don't like the Clippers. Let's see here. I want to see more oboe. David, I agree. I think we'll get more this year as long as the NFL is played. Any indication any Rams will sit out season? CJ, I don't know if you missed earlier, but I did mention Chandler Brewer. He is the only one that has announced for the Rams that he's sitting out due to the fact that he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That is really tough to say, by the way, when you're talking. So, he battled that. He beat it, and it still puts him at a huge risk to get the virus. So I totally understand why he's not playing. And don't write him off either, because I've seen a lot of people saying, well, he's just a guy. I really liked his tape. He may not be long-term plans to start, but I think he's a solid player that they could develop into something. Let's see here. How many rookie quarterbacks do you think we'll keep? Which ones? Well, you have 15, 16 practice squad spots. So, the way I see it is, you got to look at it like this. The Rams will probably keep why would they not keep 3 on the roster? So they'll keep 3 quarterbacks. So it really comes down to, obviously Wolford's the backup since he has familiarity with the offense. But then do they maybe go out and sign Blake Bortles back, who has familiarity with the offense? Or do they decide to, choose from Josh Love and Bryce Perkins? And in that mind, I think Bryce Perkins just offers a completely different game than Josh Love, a game that nobody else possesses on the roster. John Wolford kind of does, but Bryce Perkins is an athlete. And to have that dual threat as your third string quarterback, I definitely agree with it. He's somebody that they like. They were excited about him. He can make plays, and I'll say this, he doesn't get enough credit, but he brought Virginia back from the ashes and made them a formidable opponent. So don't sleep on Bryce Perkins. But I think the loser of that battle is going to go right on the practice squad. So I think the Rams will keep all 4 in-house, but 3 on the roster, 1 on the practice squad. Let's see. First time I've seen 49ers back for a while. It was good to see. It's going to be interesting. 49ers aren't that great, IMO. Rams can take that. Appreciate you, cuz. That's my cousin, Adam Grego. And I'm going to throw his YouTube channel in here because I can. Give a shout out to him if you like. Pretty much if you just want good content. He's got almost 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Go follow that man. He's my cousin. He's great. Does great work. Adam Grego, at Adam himself. I had to plug you in there. I don't know if you're even still in this thing, but I had to do it. So yeah. All right. I'm so fascinated by the Browns, though. Wondering if they got a good coach now. Yeah, it'll be interesting. They got the guy from Minnesota, Stefanski. I wasn't the biggest fan of him, and I do think there were questions about what was going on. Why was Stephon Diggs all mad? Why was Adam Thielen? I mean, things just didn't seem to be going right in Minnesota. So that's going to be interesting. That'll be something to watch. Is he a legit head coach? So, let's see here. Ben never is in shape. Now he's old. He gets injured. When he was younger, he was able to get away with not conditioning, but not anymore. Ben looks a lot better, though. I don't know if you've seen him lately. Ben Roethlisberger is going to show out this year's Lions of football. I mean, there's no way he was sitting there for a year, not able to play any games, watching quarterbacks that weren't as good as him. And in games where he knew from the sidelines he could have come in and won, I don't think he's going to go down lightly. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons, too. I mean, they added Anthony McFarland in the draft. They added Chase Claypool, his athletic profile is similar to Megatron. Deontay Johnson, they have, Juju Smith-Schuster is still there. They got Eric Ebron. Their offensive line is still stout. I mean, I think Ben Roethlisberger, if he goes for 5,000 yards again, don't be surprised. I mean, it's probably more around 4,000, 30 touchdowns, maybe 14 interceptions, around that. But I think the Steelers, again, I think they're the dark horse team to be in the Super Bowl and represent the AFC. I don't think you should count them out. That defense has only gotten better. Yes, it sucks. They lost not JaVale. I was about to say JaVale McGee. Watching too much NBA. They let Javon Hargrave go to the Eagles. But I still think that that defense is going to be stout. They're going to be nasty. I'm a big fan of, in my opinion, I'm a big fan of Alex Highsmith. I think he's going to end up being something. And I also like, I forget his name. Adenije or whatever. Totally lost his name. Ola Sunkanmi Adenije. That's his name. I don't see him staying healthy anymore. Yeah, I mean, if Ben gets hurt, then I don't think that they're going to do as well. I am not at all confident in Mason Rudolph. But, we'll see. Chris, hoping Hard Knocks is 95% Rams and 5% Chargers. I am too, man. I don't want to watch the Chargers at all. I just don't. So I agree with you. I noticed the Chargers helmet is on the right side of the promotional poster for what it's worth. CJ, I like it. I like your acknowledgement to that. Left side. That's not good. That's not good. Patriots took the biggest hit on opt-outs. Yes, they definitely did, Rich. 100%. I don't think it was like I don't think it was just like this crazy. I don't think it's this crazy scheme by Bill Belichick. I think I've said that. I think it's just one of the craziest things that just happened to the Patriots. I don't think that they're trying to tank for Trevor Lawrence, and I could be wrong, and I'll eat crow if I am, but. And the NFL is probably on notice, so they'll probably eat crow if that's the case too. They might lose the pick or something. Using COVID to get the number 1 overall pick probably is against the rules in some way. You tell me. I don't know. Let's see. Chiefs lost a running back 1, but that gave room for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to start his career. He's basically a better Sproles. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a lot better than Sproles, I think. So he's beyond a better Sproles. I saw someone on Twitter, I saw Sosa Cremeños on Twitter Shout out to him if he's watching. He likened him to Brian Westbrook, who was one of my absolute favorite running backs of all time. I have his jersey. It's the only other non-Rams jersey I have for the NFL. I think he's very similar to that, and I think he is going to be a monster, especially with Patrick Mahomes. Just think about it. They're rushing Patrick Mahomes. He's trying to do his little dance going around, and then eventually they're about to get him. Well, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's out there. He's about to basket catch it and run it for 30 yards. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen as long as there's football this year. I'm just going to keep saying that. I mean, like, for real, like, that's the only thing that I'm worried about. He is going to be a monster. I'm glad you're here, Adam. Like, I wasn't sure if you were, but I am glad that you're here for sure. The shout out is due. It's overdue. But yeah, he does great work, Adam himself, on YouTube. Rich Kendall. So for running backs, I think Kansas City is going to use nasty running game, keep Mahomes with his nasty weapons. I tend to agree with that. And they did improve their defense a little. Marvin is good. Yeah, I mean, Kansas City is likely going to another Super Bowl if everything works out. I won't put it past them. I also think, though, Baltimore, I think the Broncos are very interesting. And I really, really, really like the Ravens. I really, really like the Steelers. So I like the Ravens and Steelers. I think that division is going to be a dogfight. Plus, you now have Joe Burrow with the Bengals, who is going to be a huge upgrade over Andy Dalton. So that would be interesting. And then maybe, who knows, if if he ends up being good, then maybe the Browns make it a crazy four-way division. I don't see that happening. I think it's really the Ravens and Steelers with a chance that the Bengals slide into the 7th spot wild card position. I agree. Ben got away with raw talent for a decade, but after being forced to play not for a year, I think he got that fire back. Bias, yes. I mean, of course, I know you're a big Ben fan, but I mean, at the same time, let's not forget, I mean, he's an elite quarterback, or he was an elite quarterback, and I mean, he's got the ability to definitely go to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. He's proven that. So I don't think it's not necessarily bias. I mean, it's just what Ben Roethlisberger is. I mean, you are what you have proven, and Ben Roethlisberger has proven he can win a Super Bowl. Is that Kip? I don't know who Kip is. So I've been compared to Star-Lord, Chris Pratt's Star-Lord, and now Kip. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're talking about something else. I don't know. Maybe you're comparing me to somebody. I don't know. T-Poles. I don't know. You tell me. CJ, I'd be worried if we still had Coach Wade and Skip Pete with COVID. Yeah. No, I mean that's a good point. Older people are more at risk, so I feel that. Rich Kendall, Steelers, decent chance of making playoffs, decent chance at winning a game, lower seed, but it stops about there. I think it's impossible for Pitt to go to the AFC champ. They got to beat the Ravens in Kansas City. I mean, I wouldn't call it impossible, man. The Titans, I think people thought it was impossible if they were going to beat New England. I pretty much guaranteed they'd beat New England. Statistically, it didn't look like they had a chance coming in the game, but they did. So, I mean, the NFL is a crazy game. I mean, statistically, and it didn't look like the Bills had any chance of losing that game to the Texans when they took it over, and the way they gave that game up. I mean, you did great on Napoleon Dynamite, Kip. So this is like the first show I've had in a while, and this is also the first show I've ever had where people were comparing me to other people. It's interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. Texans, Titans, they can't beat them. Oh boy. Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. I try to be the best Rams source on social media. I can't say I'm 100% the best, but appreciate it. Boondy, how we doing? Glad to see you on the stream. Looking forward to the NFL. Hopefully they play. Kansas City, Baltimore, Tennessee, Houston. That's the teams Pittsburgh would have to be better than. I think Pittsburgh could beat all 4 of them, depending. My thoughts on Taylor Rapp. He is likely going to be like a pseudo linebacker. Um, I love the way he plays around the line of scrimmage. I don't trust him in coverage, and I think he's a really good football player. I think he'll be around the league for a while. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Rich is funny. Um, CJ, I'd say you're a young Sean Penn. Interesting. Now we got 3 lookalikes on here. 3. A high score. Keep a slim, square mustache under your nose. And a Stalin beard. Oh, Lord. This has gotten weird. Napoleon Dynamite. Ooh. Yeah. All right. Well, we've reached the conclusion of this stream. I thank you guys for coming on, watching this and spending some of your Friday night with me. It's 9:16. I'd like to do something else. So there's a legendary, yeah. These comments, man. I don't know if you see them. If you don't, you're not on YouTube. If because they're coming from YouTube, but you can check them out. I can't say them all, but they're out there. So that's gonna do it. Thank you so much, guys. Before you go, if you could check out, if you haven't already, this is our Twitter right here. You should be able to see it right here. Like over, yeah, right there. Boom. Twitter. Go follow. It's informative. We're constantly tweeting about the Rams and the NFL. If you've already done that, go follow our Instagram. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to our podcast, the Downtown Rams podcast. We just had Kurt Warner on the show. We had Dick Vermeil on the show. We have all sorts of guests on the show. You don't want to miss it. No one has as many guests as we do, like Rams podcast-wise. Alexis Kraft and I, we're getting guests for you guys. We want you guys to enjoy. Look at those 5 stars, 177 ratings. I know some of you have done that. Appreciate y'all. I'm out. Take care. And